Good afternoon, everybody. It is Thursday, and we're back. And I'm sorry I missed you last week. Forgive me, but here we are again, and I'm wonderful to be back with Mr. David Bandrowski at the top. How are you, sir?
Hey, Jamie. Great to have you back. We missed you.
Thank you, sir. You're a little quiet in my ears, but I'm assuming you're saying something there. But so, who do we have on next week? Before we get into the guest today, we have.
Next week we have Andy Thorne, banjo player with Leftover Salmon.
Awesome.
So it's going to be a good one.
Tune in for that one. That'll be fun. But that's not what we're here to discuss today. Today, we have one of our favorite banjo players. He's a longtime Deering artist and friend. He's a teacher, songwriter, and composer from North Carolina who is always pushing the banjo envelope. And no matter what direction he goes, it's always done to an extremely high standard. His new album is named Eager to Break, and it's on pre-order from his Bandcamp page, and it's released November 5th. We are very excited to have him. Please welcome Mr. Bennett Sullivan. Bennett, come on in. There he is.
Hey,
How
happy
are
to be here. I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm pretty good, thank you, sir. Where are you?
Yeah, Pisgah Forest, North Carolina, so about 35 minutes south of Asheville. Near
cool. And you're in your studio right now, I assume.
I'm in my studio, yes. This is my lawnmower shed converted into a studio.
Never would have known had you not mentioned that. It looked like a legit, like full-on professional high-end, but
it kind of looks that way.
where the magic happens, right? As they used to say on MTV Cribs.
Yeah, right.
Very cool. Well, we're really excited to have you. We got to catch up with you a little bit a few weeks back while we were in Melfest in North Carolina, which was awesome. I think it was probably the first time we've seen you in a couple of years in person.
Yeah.
Great to see you.
Totally.
And we got to share a moment watching Tom Emanuel. You were from one side of the stage. I was on the other side of the stage.
I did. Yeah, exactly. Man, that was mind blowing. I have not seen him before. It was just cool to be at a festival, to be honest. But
I got to watch you with your kind of jaw dropped for like a solid 30 seconds. But what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. Just face melting.
Absolutely. Do you want to kick off with a little tune for us?
Yeah, sure. Wow, I haven't really thought about this at all. I've been working outside all day. Sure. Yeah, why not?
Just a little ditty.
Is that coming through?
Beautiful.
Off so I don't get.
You got mail.
You've got mail.
Yeah. All right, so this is one called Lady Nora, off my first record. It's cool to see the people on here.
Yeah, they're rolling in right now.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody.
UK.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Julie Colton right there.
Yeah.
And Alan Jones, our two regular UK
nice
residents.
Cool to have some regulars. All right.
Yeah, fantastic, Bennett.
Thanks.
That's great.
Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, so it's good to have you here. Good to have a familiar face here too.
Yeah. Good to
good to
see
hang
you,
out.
man. We've traveled the world together.
Yeah. Well, part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna dive right into what's coming up. The record that you're about to release in a week or so on November 5th. It's it's very good. I really enjoyed listening to the tracks that are available, and for everybody, it's a real stripped down album, but and it's also your first foray into songwriting too, as well. So, kind of what led you down this path into the songwriting path? Because you've always been, I've known you as an instrumentalist, prior to this.
Yeah, I have been always focused very much on instrumental music. It started, I stepped down from TuneFox, which is an app company that I helped create. I stepped down from TuneFox last May of 2020, and that was due to a difference in direction of where all the co-founders wanted to take the company. And so I was pretty emotional and didn't, it was kind of like a, I don't know, midlife crisis, but I'm only 32. So it's not that, it's not a midlife crisis, but it was like, it felt big. It felt like emotional. And with TuneFox, I was working a lot on a computer, and I was, just doing lots of admin stuff, lots of just computer time. And I wanted to step away from that and just start exploring, nature and different parts of me that I haven't really explored before. So I started waking up in the morning at like 4 a.m. and started coming out to this shed and lighting a candle and working with, I don't know if you can see it there, but that's a Tascam tape machine, like tape recorder. And so I just started writing stuff that wanted to come out of me at like 4 or 5 in the morning. And just trying not to judge that process and trying just to like let the words, let the music flow out. And I came up with a collection of like 12 songs. And I know I think there's 12 tracks on the record, but some is instrumental. But I worked with producer Sam Howard, who's the bass player. He worked with Molly Tuttle for a while, and he helped me produce the record. And so I had those songs, and all the demos were recorded onto tape, and no computer, just working with a tape machine. And then it kind of evolved. I initially wanted to do the full record on the 4-track tape machine. Ultimately, we decided that digital would be better for this record. And we just kind of worked on these songs, and they came out, the way you hear them on the website, and I'm really, really proud of it. Yeah. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, totally. So do you think like working with the tape machine is interesting? Because I'm in a similar state as you. I'm a musician, but I'm in front of a computer a lot, and so trying to record in front of a computer is like more of that. It kind of saps your energy, your creative energy. So is that part of the reason why you did like the demo on the analog machine, to try to get away from sitting in front of a screen and sitting in front of Logic or something?
It was that. It's kind of jarring. If you wake up in the morning at like 4 or 5 before the sun comes up, it's kind of jarring to like look at a blue screen. And so I wanted to go into a place where that didn't affect my, I don't know, my psyche. And so I was just, working by candlelight. I do, do a lot of demos on the computer. I still work using the computer more than I do the tape machine now. and there's definitely a different workflow. Like you have to keep it simple with the 4-track because you can have unlimited tracks on the computer. You can have as many tracks as you want. So you can, just have 4 banjos playing at one time, and then 8 guitars and whatever you want. With the 4-track, you can't really have a click track. You have to use only 4 of the tracks, and unless you want to bounce them down, there's like different techniques that I haven't really even gotten into yet. But it limits you, and so creatively, it kind of helps you out. I'm sure there's other people that have talked about limitation and creativity, and how limitation isn't necessarily a drawback. It's actually very helpful to think about music in only 4 tracks or 4 instruments. Which for me, I was trying to think that way when we initially when I was using the tape machine, I was thinking that way. But when we brought it to digital, Sam also encouraged me to think that way. That's why it's kind of stripped down. It's because we were using the inspiration of the Tascam 4-track for the digital recordings. So there's a couple songs on there that use a little bit more, maybe 6 or 7. But a lot of them are just 3 or 4 tracks on the record.
It's a great point. That limitation actually is actually helps creativity. That too much choice just kind of can make you spin your wheels a lot of the time and not get anywhere.
Yeah, I feel that kind of every day. I'm like, whoa, what do I want to do today? It could be anything.
Right.
And when I'm trying to arrange a song or when I'm trying to compose, I can get like a good start, and then like the possibilities feel kind of overwhelming. And that's what I'm working on right now, is like, where do I want to go compositionally, and how do I hone that so it gets to the point of the story of the composition.
And it's interesting because and banjo is kind of the primary instrument on this album still, even though there's guitar and synthesizer, and then Sam is playing bass and electric, acoustic bass and electric bass, I think. So doing a songwriting sort of thing with banjo being kind of the center instrument, that's a unique thing too. Not just picking, say, I'm going to be a songwriter and pick up your acoustic guitar and go down that.
Well, the first demos for the record that I made, they didn't have any banjo on them, and and Sam was like, "What are you doing? You play banjo so well. Why don't you put banjo on there?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, maybe I should." And so his input was hugely influential for the whole project.
Well, we're glad Sam made that.
Yeah, me too. I think it's cool. You're right. Like, I didn't just go down the songwriting. I wanted it to be interesting. Banjo stuff too. Like, there's a few songs on there that have specific parts, that I wrote with the song, and playing them while I'm singing is still a challenge,
right?
Because they're kind of intricate.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Playing 3-finger style and singing is kind of tricky. It's definitely more of that, thing than Clawhammer kind of has more of a steady rhythm that you can sing to.
Oh yeah, I prefer Clawhammer or acoustic guitar when I'm singing over 3-finger. 3-finger's a pain in the butt to do.
Yeah.
If I practice more, maybe I could get it, but.
And then you're playing. So you mentioned Clawhammer. You are playing Clawhammer banjo on here. I've always known you as pretty much strictly a 3-finger player, but you're playing some really, strong Clawhammer banjo on here. I've only heard the 3 tracks on there, but it's not like.
So I need to send you the full
sound
record.
like you just
I'm sorry
learned.
I didn't do that.
It's okay, but November 5th I will.
Okay.
So have you always been a Clawhammer player, or is it kind of fairly new?
I would say that my Clawhammer really, I got better at Clawhammer when I was working on Bright Star with Steve Martin and Eddie Raquel. Because, Steve is both, he's a great 3-finger player, but also I think his Clawhammer playing's better than his 3-finger playing. Either way, he's just great at both. And so he wrote a lot of songs that were Clawhammer, in the Clawhammer style. And so it gave me an opportunity to like practice and get that stuff down. And he's very picky about his clawhammer, his melodies in the song. So if I'm not playing something the way that he hears it, he would correct me and say, hey, this is actually how it goes. And so, that was a big part of my clawhammer process. And then the fiddle player on the show, her name's Martha McDonald. She's amazing, and she's versed in old time, like strongly. She's amazing at old time music, and so she would be, she taught me songs, and we had like a little duo thing we were working on for a little bit, and it was just fun to play the show, but then also play with her and like jam on some like traditional old time material. But yeah, the clawhammer, I love it, and it's really fun to kind of bounce back and forth between styles, and the show definitely helped me doing it, night after night, 8 shows a week, just playing clawhammer all the time and just playing banjo all the time. That was really cool.
Yeah. And then it also, as on a recording, it adds a whole nother tonal aspect. So it's for your banjo playing. Yeah.
One of my favorite things about the recording, and I think one of the samples was Mushroom Stump, and you probably heard that one. Yep. So Sam hit me to some Joni Mitchell, Ladies of the Canyon, that record, and she does some really cool stuff with her guitar where she pans the guitar, so one guitar is on the right and then one guitar is on the left, and it creates this really cool sonic effect. And so for that song, we did the same thing. We just stole that idea and put one clawhammer banjo on one side and the other one on the other side. So they're kind of playing with each other. I didn't copy and paste. They're just like 2 different tracks.
Right.
And I really love that sound. It's kind of this kind of, I don't know, spacey with the synthesizer too. It's kind of a spacey sound. It's
almost like a chorusy sort of thing that it almost does.
Yeah, exactly. A chorusy. That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
And then going, what was kind of your thought with using synthesizer on it, on that, choosing that as an instrument for this? Because that's definitely a different, for an acoustic-y sort of album, a different instrument choice.
Yeah,
and something that's so stripped down and not like a pop album,
Right. I just have kind of gotten into the way that like analog synthesizers sound. I visited the Moog store. Moog is here in Asheville, and so it's 30 minutes up the road. And so I've taken my son there, and we've hung out in there for like an hour and just like played all the different synthesizers they have. And I just got really into the sound of that, and I love that texture, and so I wanted to incorporate it somehow. And I think those are the 2 kind of like main tonal themes of the record are banjo and synthesizer. I tried to make those kind of like the storytellers of the record in a way. I don't know. I just love that sound. So I only have I have this Behringer back here that I use. I don't know if you can see it. It's a Behringer Model D, and I couldn't afford a Moog, so Behringer basically copied the Moog, the specs to a T. I think they're something about their plans like expired. They didn't have the patent anymore. I don't know, whatever. But this thing was on the record, and it's really fun to play with. It's like my starter synth, but it's got some really cool tones. It's really fun with the synthesizer. It's got 3 oscillators, which means you can do 3 different pitches at one time. And so to create different chords with those pitches, because you can't play a full chord like you would on a piano. You can't play 3 notes at one time. You have to play 1 note, and then you can tune the other pitches on the other oscillators to create like whatever chord you want. So that's a really fun thing to experiment with. It's another limitation, and then you have to explore, okay, what do I do with this limitation?
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's your process for writing, for being a songwriter? Are you using a guitar generally when you're writing lyrics? Or like on that Mushroom tune, it's kind of that's definitely a banjo focus, kind of old time sort of thing. Did you kind of more write that on the banjo?
Yeah, that was like a banjo melody. I had that melody down, like playing it on the instrument, and then I figured I'd, we go out mushroom foraging occasionally. Emily's really into it. My wife is really into it, and and she'll forage for mushrooms in Pisgah Forest, and on our property, and so I wanted to write a little fun, song about that, and so the banjo melody was there, and then I just kind of worked on the lyrics, and she helped me with those, and that was a different process than most of the songs on the record. Some of them were just written with just a notebook, no, like Sunset, which is like a banjo synth pop kind of song that was written just at Sunset Beach in North Carolina with a notebook, reflecting on an evening with Milo, my son. And then I went through like 4 different versions of the song, like first finger picking guitar, then just strumming guitar. And then I found this really cool pattern on the banjo, and I put synthesizer to it, and I was like, I think I have something here. It's cool when that like actually, clicks.
Yeah, when it locks in.
Yeah, it's a little frustrating when it's not. You're just like, what is going on? Like, am I
Right.
ever going to figure this out? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a puzzle, and then you finally get it. Yeah.
And then, mind blown.
Do you want to play something from it? Another tune for us?
Yeah, I'll play something from the record. I'll try to sing. The sun comes in, it can't help itself, it fills the dark. The young man worries, I can't help myself, show me a sign. I pen the song, eager to break, purpose found. Man sleeps, works all day, he knows himself. The mother she gives her loving words, she shares herself. I pen the song, eager to break, purpose found. The young man knows time is over. He gives one more smile.
Yeah, fantastic.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that one was also written just notebooks, and I was like, I need a melody for this. What am I doing? And that came like almost immediately. It's kind of interesting to explore. I'm like, what is my process? I don't know what it is, and I think a lot of artists should go through that.
Yeah.
I think it's constantly evolving, changing. I don't know, and I'm trying to figure out, like, I try to listen to people like Joni Mitchell, and I'm like, so, like, just from what I'm hearing, how did she create this song? And for me, a lot of what she does is like poetry, and then she just sings her ass off and just, like, puts some sort of, like, she channels something, and then music flows out from that. I haven't heard any interviews of her about it, with her about it, but that's just my interpretation. So I try to like listen to artists and try to like listen for what are they doing, like, or what am I picking up that they're doing when I just listen to them, not when I necessarily go and research it.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, sticking, we have a question from in the chat here on the same topic from Dean. He's saying, when composing a song, do you first hear a tune in your head and then determine the mechanics of it on the banjo, or does a song come out while just noodling on the banjo?
That's cool. You can just pop it up there for me. Lately it's been just noodling on the instrument and trying different ideas out. But there's songs on that record that just came from, one was written on a drive home from a friend's house. Just every stop sign I tried to like write a verse down, on the way back. And then another one was written also in the car, but like it was more of a melody based thing. I think, like I said before, it's evolving right now. I'm trying to kind of figure out, but let it come out whatever way it wants to. Sometimes it's a melody, and I'll have the voice memos, on the phone at the ready, and so I can just pop it open and listen to it. To pop it open and record it and then listen back. And but sometimes it's on the instrument. And I know this is the main thing. It's like whenever I have an idea, I need to get it down onto some sort of recording software, because if I don't get it down immediately, then it's going to be gone in like a few seconds. So if I have something that I really like, I'm kind of like, okay, how am I going to record this? I kind of scramble until I get some recording software up and ready, so I can just record some ideas. And once I have that main idea, sometimes I'll just let the recorder go and I can just explore different ideas and listen back to it.
Yeah, I've heard that, that a lot of recording ideas.
Yeah.
I think BB Bonus had said she records videos of herself now. So because a lot of times for myself, when I record ideas, it's like a pain to transcribe myself on like an instrumental thing. And it's just frustrating because when you transcribe some like a master, you're like, this is cool, I'm figuring it out. When you're just trying to figure out yourself, it's kind of frustrating and ridiculous.
That's true.
So your other two albums are instrumental banjo albums.
Yeah.
How do you get a piece from where it's just kind of noodling and finding like a cool lick to piecing that together into an interesting tune, and not just like a banjo lick sort of tune, where it feels more like something more interesting,
melody flowing, like
a real melody, rather than
yeah.
just you threw your fingers down and did this little like doodle thing.
I'm trying to reflect on what I actually do. Sometimes I'll just throw my fingers down. That's kind of what I've been doing right now, and or I'll just put my hand in a different chord that I'm not used to. Or I'll have like a sound in my head, like I want to have like a flat 2 sound. So if I'm in the key of G or G minor, I want to have like an A flat kind of sound, which is related to C minor. So I like kind of think about those tonalities and then a pattern, like I'll try to think about a different pattern that I could do, and how do I incorporate that into the melody, like like something like that. That's something I was messing around with yesterday. Is like, and then I say, okay, well, where's the C minor A flat? Maybe I can incorporate that in there. But that's just one way. There's like a million. It's unlimited, you know. I don't know if that. Yeah, the limitation though, if we go back to that, that's essentially what I'm saying is you have G minor, but I want the flat 2. So how do I incorporate the flat 2? I'm limiting myself to just a key of G minor and then another chord, which is flat 2. But what if I wanted to do G minor and then F, or whatever. It could be anything. But like establishing that limitation going in can help with tune crafting, I guess.
Right. Or rather than just having every color in the spectrum and a blank canvas.
It gets overwhelming, and then you're like, don't want to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
We have a question in the chat. I think they're talking about when you're playing that last tune. They're saying from Brian Kosh, you can't see your picking hand, but it seems that you're playing 2-finger or 3-finger, or am I wrong?
I'm playing 3-finger, and on the record, I do that song differently. That's kind of what we were talking about before. It's singing and playing at the same time. I'm usually doing. That's what I would do if I was, I don't know, tracking vocals on that. And honestly, that's how I did the record, because I had to concentrate so much on vocals. Vocals is such a new thing for me. So I'm trying to, still practice that as much as I can. But that was a big transformation for me for the last year in trying to make this record is writing the songs, and then how do I perform these songs? How do I want to sing them? And Sam was so helpful. Because Mushroom Stump, for example, like I was like screaming that at one point. I was like trying to get it up an octave from where it is and just like kind of shout, old time shout vibes. and I was practicing at the beach, and my in-laws were like, "What are you doing out here?" They were like so confused, as like if I was like actually practicing something for real. And I was. And then I got that gave me some feedback. Okay, and maybe I need to do it a different way because it sounds like crap. And so, how to sing each song and how close to get to the microphone and, all that stuff. Like we recorded the whole record here in the studio, or I recorded it all. And so learning which mics to put on the banjo and which mics to sing into, and how far away to get, like all that stuff. I learned about that, which was cool. It's been really helpful.
Did having singing be kind of a new thing for you and something you really had to work on, and then you had to listen to yourself, which is always especially listening to your voice and singing, it's more personal even. But it kind of is the same as for when you're starting out on an instrument too. And you like, if you hear yourself like amplified the first time, or you hear yourself recorded, and you're like, it just is kind of odd. Can you kind of take anything you learn from that process of learning something again, and for just anybody learning to play the banjo or doing anything, how'd you kind of get through that and just kind of, it's not a clear question, but just exactly.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It was definitely listening to myself was like, what? Like I was definitely asking the question, why am I trying to do this? I sound terrible, and why don't I let someone else sing the songs? Or no, I knew I wanted to sing the songs. I knew it had to be me. I mean, these are personal songs, and but you go on Instagram and you hear like Sarah Drew singing, you're like, holy crap, like she's insane. Just as like I go on YouTube and I watch Jens Kruger play, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But coming back to the joy of just exploring my voice, exploring what my instrument, like my hands on this instrument, have to say. It's something. I mean, Jens Kruger has taught me. You just got to find who you are and explore that. And coming back to it every day, is important. So like there were phases of making the record where I would just be here, just practicing my vocals, like just like listening to it and just doing it over and over and over again, trying to get one syllable right. And eventually when that, I remember calling Sam being like, oh, dude, I think I got it. I think I've actually sung this in a way where I don't hate it. You know, it's not insane. It's not amazing. You know, I'm not like Mariah Carey, but I'm singing like me, you know, I'm singing like myself. And that was the main thing, is like finding what do I sing like? I'm not going to, I don't know. I would love to sing like Bill Withers at some point. Like, dude, I mean, I've been listening to him so much, and it's been such an inspiration, just his depth, you know?
Yeah.
But like Bill Withers in my way, you know, it's like I would like to play like Jens Kruger, but in my way, you know,
Right.
it's, so there's the balance of like looking up to these people and being like, wow, they are amazing. And I mean, ultimately what they did is just, they found themselves, you know?
Right.
So that's, you know, but from a purely technical standpoint, just visit every day, listen to yourself every day, and give yourself feedback. Don't get down. I mean, it's about the journey. It really is about learning and enjoying that, and the breakthroughs. The breakthroughs are the fun part, you know, when you're like, holy shit, I did it. Yes. I've worked on that word, you know, with vocals. I've worked on that word for like 3 months. Now I've arrived. I can sing, you know, eager or whatever, you know. The E's are hard.
And how do you get over a place where you're, because again, you know, being songwriting being new for you, where you're not just self-judgmental and just like self-editing everything and saying, oh, this sucks, and then just throwing it all away and just walking away. You know, getting halfway through a project and,
Oh gosh,
you know,
I
and just getting
don't
down
know.
on yourself. I mean,
Yeah,
you
I
got
mean,
over it and you're proud of it, and you know,
yeah, that's
you
a great
you
question.
can really stop your creative process by just saying, being too overly judgmental on yourself.
Yeah. Well, I would say that it's really helpful to have someone else there with you, you know, like Sam.
Right.
Sam, I don't know if I couldn't have done it without him and his feedback and just his, I mean, he's such a joyful dude, and he really was, you know, not judgmental of me at all. You know, when I'm like first trying to sing, I know it sounds terrible to him. It sounds terrible to me. And he's, you know, he's extremely constructive. He's not judging me at all. And I could feel that. And if you have someone that won't judge you, but will just see it and give you feedback, and if you can take that, then that's really important for the process. I've been working on stuff recently that I'm just doing on my own, and it's definitely difficult. Like I'm noticing myself wanting to trash stuff, probably more so than I would if I had a producer, or not even a producer, just someone else, you know, around to work with me on it.
Yeah, that's good advice. Definitely, if you get stuck by yourself and stuck in your own head, you can just get down on yourself and, you know, never let anything out. You
can, you just, you know, put that project in a folder to be looked at like in a couple of years or something.
Right.
When it could be magical, and you don't know where the creative process is going to take it. You know, it could be, you know, you could add an instrument, you could add like a handbell, and it would like make the whole track sound like alive and spark something else. It's really cool. That's what I've been into recently, is the creative process. Like what is this lick on the banjo gonna inspire me to make on the synthesizer? What is this thing on the synthesizer gonna make me, you know, want to make on the banjo or the Wurlitzer or the guitar? Like, and just going with it.
If we got a frozen, Bennett's frozen there.
He is. He's completely frozen up.
He's fully frozen up. Well, this is very good. Everybody, keep your questions coming in. We'll figure it out. Bennett's a very tech savvy guy, and
he looks great.
And
he's going to come back in a second. It was too bad, because he was really on a great roll there on I was like, my ears pricked up because he's talking about the idea of, being able to pick up.
There he is. He's moving.
He's coming back in a minute.
Hey,
welcome back.
Sorry.
We had faith that you'd make it back, but don't worry.
I had to come in, and I almost picked up a banjo to try and take your place. And
Oh man, I would have
I got
loved
shouted
to
at for even trying. So, okay, I'll leave you two alone for a second. You guys enjoy.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
I don't know where we exactly froze up at, but it was a good
know.
spot. But I can't tell you
Cool.
where. But we'll rewind, and people can watch it and rewind, and then write questions in, and we'll figure it out.
Okay.
Anyways, so we do have a question about just about recording. What would you
cool.
technical thing? What would you, for a beginner that wants to record, what would you suggest they use?
Oh man. Well,
what can you recommend for a novice to recording?
it depends on your budget, because if you have a computer and you have a microphone, a USB microphone, you can use GarageBand and you can crush there. It doesn't require a microphone, a preamp, interface. You don't need all that stuff. I think the Focusrite interfaces, if you wanted to get an interface, which is basically just a piece of hardware that allows you to connect a microphone to your computer. If you wanted to get an interface, the Focusrite ones I think are pretty inexpensive. And then you don't need anything fancy as far as microphones go. For banjo, I think a great starting microphone is a SM57. It's a Shure SM57. Really just honest and easy to use and durable. These things are they last forever. So yeah, one of those Focusrites, which is an interface, and then SM57, and you'll need a cable and a mic stand and stuff. But and a headphones, and that's a great way to get started, I think, into recording. Using the click track is helpful when you're working on a piece of software like GarageBand. It keeps you honest and is good practice. And then you can layer things on top of that. So, if you're, just practicing a chord progression, you could layer that on, and you can even loop that in the program. So you don't even have to play it over and over and over. You can let the program play it over and over and over. And then on top of that, you can write melodies on it, or you can just improvise or add another layer of chords up the neck. So there's a lot you can do with it. It's really fun for creativity, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And it's great how easy it is these days. And you can, practice, lay down a rhythm track and then lay down, practice a melody on top of it very quickly. Oh, so
easy. Yeah. You could do that on your phone too.
Yeah. They have GarageBand for your phone or whatever type you have. We got question for Bennett from Dean saying, the banjo geek in me would like to know what brand of finger picks and thumb pick you use and why.
So I'll start with my thumb pick. I use a blue chip thumb pick, but I also really like these Golden Gate clown barf ones.
I remember those.
The clown barf.
I haven't had one in a while.
They're awesome. And I think they sound better than the blue chip, honestly, but this one's a little too tight for my thumb, so I'm using the blue chip. For comfort and durability and sound, I think it sounds pretty good. But I do like this clown barf one a lot. It's made by Golden Gate. And then I'm using... So the banjo geek in me is saying, well, you should be more picky about your finger picks, because I'm using two different types of finger picks. One is a Hofmeier, that's on my middle finger, and then I'm using a Dunlop on my index finger, and I don't have a reason for that. I really like the Hofmeier picks. They sound really good. They're comparable to the old, Oval 8 Nationals, which everybody wants to get their hands on. And I've had Oval 8 Nationals before, and I've lost them. It's sad. But the Hofmeyrs are really good. They're made from German nickel. So they're good, and they're not expensive. They're like $20 for a pair. I should have Pro Picks. I'm sorry I don't have Pro Picks, y'all.
Well, we can get you some.
Give me a pair. Give me a pair of Pro Picks.
Let's see. So another, you released another recording this year.
Oh yeah.
Called Green Song, and I'm kind of taking the vibe that this was a COVID recording. Is that true? Meaning a lot of people had recordings where they recorded totally by themselves, and so was it recorded at home and everything done? You know, it was all you on the track, on the record.
Yeah, I recorded everything. It's very mandolin focused. Yeah, I guess I haven't even thought about it, but it is a COVID recording now. I just kind of sitting in here. I wanted to learn more about like playing different instruments, so I played some dobro on it. I was writing tunes on the mandolin, and there's some clawhammer on there too. Not so much 3-finger banjo. The title track has 3-finger, but I wanted to learn about mixing and recording, and that's kind of why I did it. I didn't really have plans to like promote it all that much, and I haven't promoted it all that much. I wanted to get it into like the sync licensing world, and see if I can make some money off if it got on a commercial or
the back
TV
of some
whatever.
MTV show or something.
Like my banjo music is gonna go on an MTV show. It's silly. It's silly.
Behind Real World or something, or
yeah. Well, I have like for my first record, I did submit it for sync licensing, and it's been on like American Pickers, like so that kind of, I don't know, westerny. I don't even know what American Pickers is, but it's been on that, and like Pawn something or some. I don't know. Yeah. It's been on reality shows in like 30 seconds, if that, 15 seconds. So I don't know.
I once had a banjo track that was on. There's a show. It's like Yo Mama. There was an MTV show, Yo Mama. They told like Yo Mama jokes back and forth to each other. And then there's another one where they did Hot Rods or something like that. And they replayed it a lot in like, Eastern Europe or something like that.
Eastern Europe, yeah.
So you got a few cents now and then.
In Poland.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So is there a different when you're writing on these on these different, I guess the process is similar. You're writing on these different instruments. How many instruments do you play? You
know what? I'm adding mandolin to the list. I feel I'm not good at mandolin, but I feel like I can write melodies and play decently. So I'm adding that to the list officially on Deering Live.
Okay, we got to get you a tenor banjo then, because tune the same and
send it over.
Mandolin player.
Send it over. No, I play banjo, guitar. Does electric guitar count as a different instrument?
Yeah, totally.
Mandolin. I don't say I'm a piano player, but this thing right here, I love to write and play on this. This is a Wurlitzer, a 200A, and I can play like, bar chords on a dobro. That doesn't count because anybody could do that. And I can play like banjo rolls because I'm a banjo player. So,
is there an instrument you're kind of tinkering with that's kind of brand new for you right now at all? Something that you're really
breaking news. Wow. Let's do it.
It's a first. The ticker.
Oh, the ticker. That's amazing. What else is breaking news? Wait, I don't know what the question was.
Well, I was talking about, is there another instrument you're adding to your list that you're just terrible at right now, though? And so it helps bring you back down, grounds you to people that were starting out on banjo and how hard it can be when your fingers just aren't naturally flowing, on in this instrument yet.
I think piano is a good example of that because with mandolin, like I can figure out the chords, like in the picking, like I'm already a flat picker, so I know how to do that on the mandolin. I don't feel like a beginner on the mandolin. With piano, I feel like a beginner because I'm like, I have to really think about, okay, what notes are in a B chord? And then how do I switch to an E chord, but with a common tone? Like, I have to really think about that, like the voice leading of it. I don't want to just play a B chord and then jump up and play an E chord. It's like equivalent of playing, an A chord. And then instead of going to a D chord down here, what's your closest D chord? Right there. So that's going to be the most efficient. And Jamie knows all about efficiency, so he can relate to this. And A, like that, A to D, instead of just jumping all the way down to a different D down the neck. So it's thinking about those things on piano to be a more efficient player. But I really have to think about them. It's not like on mandolin where I can just put an A chord down. I know where a D chord is. Backstage jokes.
So sorry, that's throwing me off course there.
Sorry.
You've been a great teacher for a long time. You created TuneFox. You did a lot of fantastic videos through the years. And so, as a teacher, what's something you see a lot of banjos struggling with, and how do you get them over that hump? Especially maybe talking about, maybe not just a beginner, but like an intermediate. You're kind of, somebody's been playing a little bit, they can play a few tunes by tab, but they aren't really progressing to the next level, and they're struggling, they're plateauing.
There's 2-3 really good things that I would recommend that an intermediate does. Beginner, I would say beginner, you're getting your facility, you're trying to learn the technique, you're learning some chords, you're, getting some of the basic tunes down, like Cripple Creek, Banjo in the Hollow, Old Joe Clark. So you're understanding the vocabulary and the actual like physical instrument. I would say as an intermediate, I would start learning by ear. I would turn on recordings. There's so many different slow down softwares nowadays that you can put on, try to figure out the notes. As hard, how frustrating that can be, I get it, because that's kind of the transition I made. I was like I learned Cripple Creek poorly from tab, and then I turned on a recording of, I think my first like ever learn by ear recording was Ron Block's version of Cluck Old Hen. And I didn't play it well, I couldn't play it very well at all, but I figured out the basic notes, and then I could start to figure out the roll patterns, like what is he doing there? And you don't have to get it perfect. Like you can kind of take that pressure off of you to get it perfect. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, go jam as much as you can. Just play with other people. Don't get discouraged if you can't figure out, the 1, 4, 5 chords in the key of B or B flat, or E. You'll get that. That's something that you do. You got to practice. And the best way to do that is to like play with people that you've never played with before, that are going to play repertoire that you haven't heard before, in strange keys. So that's number two. Play with go to as many jam sessions, play with as many people as you can. Especially if they're better than you. And then 3, play with the metronome. Play with the darn metronome. You got to play with it. It's so important. And I have to remind myself to do that. I really enjoy it, actually. But yeah, slowly with the metronome is the way. And being really, record yourself and be picky about any, mistakes. Are you speeding up, slowing down? Just give yourself lots of feedback. Yeah,
that's good. The metronome is definitely, I know for myself, when I'll play with a metronome, practice the metronome, and then go on a gig with people I play with all the time, they're like, wow, you sound good today. And it's like, and I know I don't say anything, but I'm like, I practice with the metronome
today. You should tell them. You let them know.
Right, maybe they'll practice with the metronome then.
Yeah, right. You sound terrible.
I think Jamie was going to jump in.
Oh, all right. What's up?
So you're efficient host. Thanks for that. Did you like your breaking news? That was pretty cool, huh?
I love that. That's so efficient.
I love how impressed you are with the technology that we have here at Deering Banjos. I think it's great. It's very flattering. I wanted to stay in the vein of the teaching because there's a couple of questions here. One is from a student, and one just came in. It looks like from a teacher, so like it's the complete opposite end of the spectrum. Trying to find the first. So Jim Newton asks, first of all, having started with a limited banjo teacher who smoked, which I'm not sure, I'm guessing that's unpleasant in person. But what criteria did you use in finding a good banjo instructor? I've had similar experiences with banjo teachers. This was a question asked a little earlier in the chat, and kind of the pandemic's kind of blown this wide open to some degree, just because of the the nature of online. And I actually had a customer in yesterday. We were talking, and he was he's out in South Carolina. He was insisting on a in-person. And there's been a lot of people that have had in-person teachers because they think it's like the best way. But I do think that the online these days are definitely worth considering. But what are the criteria in this case that you would go by?
Their ability to see you. It's kind of like what I was talking about with the producer. Is like, can they produce you? Can they give you feedback without judging you? Are they good communicators? Are they kind? Are they a good player? Like, are they legit? Do they know their stuff? And also, can they put you on like a roadmap in that first lesson? Can they give you stuff that's going to challenge you, not challenge you too much, to like make you overwhelmed? A little overwhelm is all right. A little like frustration in there, that's okay. But I think, like gently challenging you along the process and letting you kind of do it on your own. My style of teaching has really changed. I don't like using tab. I really want the student to be practicing as much as they can, and also giving themselves self-feedback. They have to be able to do that, and also listening to bluegrass music a lot. I like the student to come to the lesson saying, hey, I want to learn this song. Can you help me figure out this song? And then we can figure it out together, and I can show them how I would do it. I can share my screen. I can say, okay, I'm going to go to YouTube. I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to figure out this note first, or I'm going to figure out the chords first. And then they can see the process. Because if you can figure out the process of learning music, you don't need a teacher. Or the teacher's there just to like cheerlead you or give you accountability.
Little tips here and there as well. Just to kind of, if they notice something like that. Yeah, that's good advice. On the other end of that spectrum, Dean, who's contributed a couple of times already, but it's a really good question. How do you gently tell a banjo student that they have absolutely no talent whatsoever for playing the banjo? I'm assuming it's going to take quite a while to get there as a teacher, but it's always a difficult one. I'm assuming if you've been plowing at it for weeks and months and there's just like zero progress, whether it's because they don't have the talent or because they're not putting in kind of that extracurricular time out away from lessons.
Yeah. I think you don't need to have talent to have fun. And I think that's what it comes down to, is like, ask them if they're having fun with it. What would be the most fun for you? Would it be learning the Jamiroquai? I don't know why Jamiroquai. I don't know.
You're the
why
first American I've ever heard to mention that name.
I love Jamiroquai.
Wow.
Would it be fun for you to learn a Stevie Wonder song or a Jamiroquai song on the banjo? Like, how can we make that happen? Because chances are, if they're having fun, maybe Cripple Creek's not the way they need to go in their path. Maybe it's learning a really simple version of, not You Are My Sunshine.
The Saints Go Marching In.
Yeah, the Saints Go Marching In. Yeah, like a simple version of that. Or something they're passionate about. Because really, like, why do they want to learn music? They want to, like, have fun. They want to, they're passionate about music, and they want to see if they can, actually put their hands on an instrument and make some sound that makes sense to them. Yeah. So how do you keep it fresh and fun for the student? It might require more work for the teacher. You have to figure out how to play a Jamiroquai song on the banjo and then dumb it down. But that's kind of the fun part. If you bring that to the lesson, and they're pumped about it, that keeps you going. That gives you energy to do it.
Yeah, I think that the first thing you said, like asking if they're having fun with it, I think that's crucial.
Yeah,
that's a really good way.
I have to ask myself that when I play. Am I having fun right now? Because if I'm not, then what's the point?
Yeah, absolutely. And then Brad is asking what banjo you're playing. I know it's not one of ours. No pro pick, no daring shocker.
All right, guys.
You can talk about it though. We'll let you.
It is a Bellbird banjo made in Australia by a guy named Peter Nehusen. Yeah.
Very cool. That sounds good.
Oh, I've never heard of it.
It's good. I mean, I'm playing it I'm playing it through a pickup system right now, and I think that sounds pretty nice.
Yeah, talk about that, because it sounds
doesn't sound
very
like a pickup at all.
doesn't sound like a pickup at all.
No.
Yeah, that's fooled you. Well, and
You got-
I can do this stuff. You can put all the effects on it. That's what I've been really enjoying lately. It's a piezo pickup. So I don't know if it's a K&K I put under the bridge. I can't remember what it's called, the K&K version of it. But what I'm playing through here is a tone dexter, and I'm sure other people have talked about that. It's kind of become, I see it everywhere. The Dusters use it. The Rangers use it. Everybody's using these tone dexter boxes, which basically just they take your pickup sound and it models whatever microphone you want it to model. You actually have to train the DI, the direct box, to sound like that microphone. So you plug your instrument in, you plug your banjo in, and you plug it into the DI, and then you have a mic plugged into the DI as well, and then you play your banjo into the microphone, and it makes it sound like the microphone. There's a lot of tweaking, though.
Sprockets,
Yeah.
right?
Audio sprockets, yeah,
Okay.
exactly, precisely.
There's a
I
demo in
use
my
LR Baggs voice print. It's a similar thing.
Same
and,
thing, yeah.
it was remarkable how I didn't think it would work, and then I did it, and I was like, this sounds like my banjo.
It's pretty
shocked.
cool. Yeah, it is shocking the first time you do it. I mean, I've had to tweak it a lot, and I think it's in a good place right now.
Sounds good.
I did not realize you had a pickup on there at all. That sounded like it was mic'd up. No, that was great.
Yes.
There you go. See?
Sweet. Breaking news.
I'll make your banner in a
an
minute.
acoustic sound out of a pickup.
Yeah.
Very cool. Dave, do you have any more questions?
Yeah, I think that's it for right now. But I'd love to. This was fun.
Super
Definitely fun hanging out with you and hearing you play and talk about everything. You're always so articulate and chill. You have such a good vibe. So it's been
thanks.
fun. Let's throw this up real quick. We didn't do this, but here's for anyone interested, head over to the Bandcamp site, which I think I have if I'm organized. There it is. Bennett Sullivan Music at bennettsullivan.bandcamp.com.
Yeah.
Head over there and you can pre-order Eager to Break. What is that, $10, I think?
$10.
How many tracks?
12 tracks.
So it's like 80 cents a track.
That's a deal. It's
amazing
a deal right
value
there.
for money. Right there.
I know, right? I know.
I like it. But it's really good. Like that the first track on there was fantastic. So I'll need to listen to the rest of it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Fine work. And the rest of them are on Spotify as well.
Yeah, the other records are on Spotify. So you can listen to Lady Nora and Green Song there. And I'll be playing shows soon.
What's the plans? What does the future hold?
The future right now, I'm still figuring it out. I was doing a solo thing for a while and working on that with the pickups and looping and stuff, and that was fun. And I'm still trying to sort that out. I would love to would love to have a band. I mean, like I've been, kind of scouting out the scene here in Brevard, and there's some amazing talent here. The Rangers live here, most of the Rangers live here, and Travis Book lives here, and Sarah Siskin. There's a lot of really amazing. John Weisberger lives here, and so I've been kind of getting in there, and I've been playing some bluegrass gigs with Woody and some of the other Rangers, and just meeting people, and I'm still figuring out what I want my dream band to be. So it's in the works. But right now it's just solo, coming into the shed, writing music, still just trying to write as much as I can right now, and figure out that creative flow.
Love it. I love your approach.
Thanks.
It's wonderful. Now it's really, really refreshing to hear the way you kind of went back and kind of stripped things down and limited yourself, and cut your eyes off the screen. We all need to do that, right?
Yeah. I know it's so helpful to do that. It can be I was literally looking at my phone the other night. I was like, my mind feels like it's just turning to mush. Like I can feel it just like like burning away or something. And so I was thankful for where I live. You guys live in a beautiful place too, and beautiful places. Because Dave, you're in New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
San Diego, New Orleans. I mean, beautiful places. So
it's not shabby.
Yeah,
it's not shabby at all.
Too shabby, no, not at all.
Jim's asking, will there be downloads and CDs? Is there a physical format available on the?
Yeah, I'm gonna do initially a limited run of CDs available, so like 150. So I'll send those out.
Get over to Bennett's site. I'm going to throw those links up again and sign up to his. I'm sure there's a mailing list of some kind, or follow him on social, and you'll hear all about the release and what's available and when.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Exactly.
There we go. All right. You want to fancy playing us out with a little tune?
Sure.
Thank you for everybody.